We are going to be talking about savings today in the month of February. That's our theme. We have 2 questions that Elian and I will address. I should probably introduce ourselves. I'm Shannon Acosta. I'm a CFP and an advisor at Benchmark. And this is Elian.
I'm Elian Levatino, and I'm a partner here at Benchmark. I'm also a certified financial planner, and we're here to answer all the questions you have for us.
Let's get into it. All right, my first question is going to be about savings and the baby steps. Is there ever a time when you should stop saving money? And the answer is yes. It's very situational. If you're familiar with the baby steps, you know that there's an order and a sequence. The priority is to pay off debt and then build up an emergency fund. And if you aren't familiar with the debt part, go look at our videos from January because we covered that in pretty good detail. Let's say you've paid off your debt and you're building up your emergency fund savings, but then you have an emergency. Your tire falls off or somebody gets sick. Stop saving money. At that point, it's time to use the emergency fund that you've accumulated. Have a little victory dance because it's there and you're able to dip into it. At the point in which the emergency fund has been used, then it's time to get back on the horse and rebuild it. The emergency fund building is a little bit of a 2 steps forward, 1 step back dance.
It's a process.
Yeah. I mean, you'll make progress and then you might have to dig into it a little bit. It's easy to feel frustrated when that happens, but sincerely, we really like to celebrate with clients when that happens because the alternative would be for you to go into debt. And the fact that it's there for you to dip into instead of having to take a loan out is pretty significant. So frustrating though it may be, try and look on the bright side. Am I missing anything about a time to stop saving?
No, I think it's also a good way to jump into the question that people had for me. And by the way, these are real questions. We get this from clients, and we get this from y'all when you submit emails to us. So we appreciate it. But one of the questions.
No, I'm sorry. Can I interrupt you? I thought of one more thing.
She was very excited about that.
Yeah. Well, don't get that excited. Another reason that you might want to stop saving is if you have a major life change. If somebody loses a job,
Absolutely.
If you change jobs, or if you're moving, if there's a major event coming up that you need to conserve cash flow for, it's okay to hunker down and prepare for whatever it is that's upcoming. If you're going to have a baby, or if you're getting married, focus savings maybe not on the emergency fund so much, but on whatever event it is that's upcoming.
And there's some secret baby steps in there too when you're talking about saving for, even if you have a fully funded emergency fund, saving for deductibles for medical insurance.
Yeah.
If there could be some significant medical events coming up, like having a baby or some kind of elective surgery or something like that. But also knowing that you're going to eventually buy another car, and you want to be able to write a check rather than having to start signing a bunch of documents that says you're on the hook for the next 6 or 7 years, which is starting to happen in the car market.
Yeah. And sometimes you just have expensive seasons of life. And if that's the case, maybe there's going to be a few months where you just can't save money, and that's okay. It happens. Okay, back to you. Sorry I interrupted you.
Well, one of the questions we had is, what do you do with your emergency fund savings? Because it's sitting in cash, and banks right now are not paying fantastic interest rates. We talked about that in a previous video. There's not really a great place to put it. So keeping it somewhere safe. I don't suggest keeping it at home, but keeping it somewhere safe in a bank where it's very liquid, something you can get to quickly. Pretty regularly, I have somebody tell me, well, hey, I have a fully funded emergency fund. And for some people, that's in the $20,000 to $50,000 range, which is a lot of cash to be sitting on. And naturally, we want our money to make money. And when banks aren't doing that for us, we panic a little bit and think, well, it's just sitting here. It's not doing anything. That's the purpose. That's the plan. And
it's supposed to be boring.
Exactly. It's not fun. It's not exciting. There's nothing special about it. It's just there to keep you from having to swipe your card the next time that there could be something that would deem some kind of an emergency. The alternative is somebody will say, well, I want to put the money in my 401k. Well, you can, but it's really difficult to get out, and there's penalties involved, and you don't really want to pay penalties and taxes on something that was originally money set aside for emergencies. CDs and savings bonds and those kind of things, they can have penalties involved when you take the money out early. That's probably not a good idea. Alternatively, somebody will say, well, you're a financial advisor. Why aren't you advising me to put it in the market? And that's because it's probably not the safest place for an emergency fund. We want your emergency fund to be very safe, and markets are fickle in the short term. And if you think you're going to need this money in the next 1 to 2 years. I mean, we like the prospects of long-term markets having a positive trend, but in the short term, that's a little bit, it's less likely. So we're looking for safe places to hold all this. The biggest concern that I would have as a financial advisor is if you told me you wanted to put some money in and then we had a down market for a couple months and then told me you needed to take the money out and I got to send you back less than what you gave me. That's a bad look. I definitely don't want you to have to go upside down in your emergency fund when a legitimate emergency came up.
And Murphy's Law is going to dictate
Absolutely.
that when you have an emergency, the markets are also going to be having a bad day.
Yeah.
So it's not really worth any marginal reward for the risk and uncertainty of not needing it.
So keep it close, keep it safe, keep it handy, keep it liquid to be ready for those shorter term things. But also have a plan for it. If you know that you have a fully funded emergency fund, but there's some other things to be saving for, it's okay. We talked about this in another video. It's okay to open a second account and have a car fund or have your next house fund or have a fund for your medical deductibles, especially if I mean, I have family members who use their entire year's medical deductible in 3 to 4 months just on pharmaceutical drugs. I mean, it's very, very expensive right now. So if you know those expenses are coming, that needs to be a line item in your budget and to be saving for. That's cash you need on hand, not putting it someplace where it's difficult to get to.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about those nuances when we cover budgeting next month.
I think it is next month.
Next month, okay.
So stay tuned.
Yeah, right. Thanks for joining us, y'all.
Bye, everybody.